After nonstop rain for nearly a month, dozens of rocks have been washed down our property towards our house here in the foothills of the Italian Alps. The rockslide has destroyed the solar panel system and damaged our slate roof. This week we take a moment to assess the damage, remove all the stones that have fallen down, and to carefully remove loose boulders from the steepest part of the property, directly above the house.
Bad.
Yikes. Oh my gosh, it's just completely shattered.
Yeah, it punctured all the way through on both sides.
Oh, it is. It's coming all the way through. Oh my gosh.
Oh, there's the rock right there. Can you see it?
Oh my goodness, no. You see the roof. Oh man.
That's surprisingly not bad.
That's not bad. Oh, goodness. Oh, gosh.
So it's just one tile.
Okay.
That's not bad. So for the past month, northern Italy has been just pounded with nonstop rain. It's turned into some pretty serious flooding in a lot of areas. But clearly on a steep slope like this, we don't really have any risk of flooding. What we do have risk of is landslides and rock slides. I arrived earlier and noticed that there was no power and came up and we checked on the solar panel and it's been completely smashed, obliterated by some rocks falling from the terraces. What's amazing is how far this rock traveled and how fast it must have been going. I don't know if you can kind of sense behind me, but up here, it would have bounced off of this terrace, traveled about 20 feet, 7 meters or so, bounced off of the solar panels and then landed on the roof. Surprisingly, the roof is not that damaged. I would have expected it to have shattered a dozen tiles, but thankfully just one tile to replace. We still need to do a full assessment of the property because just as we walked in, there's a lot of stones that have rolled down. So before we do a full assessment, I want to get up and make sure more aren't coming, clean up any loose stones, and figure out a way to protect what we have here. So as we've mentioned many times before, these are very old walls and they are beautifully stacked in some areas and not so well stacked in others. And as the rains come, some stones get loose and fall out. It is not this bad in most of the walls. I was gonna put it back, but I shouldn't. We need to, anything loose we need to deal with. Because as the rains come down, it loosens up
Exactly.
the natural mortar, which is just clay and mud, and then the stones fall out, and right here we are directly above the house. I don't actually think that's where that stone came from, because in order for it to have jumped as far as it did, it would have had to come from very high up the mountain.
So it's not just the water erosion that we have to worry about. We also have vines that are growing over top of the walls that are compromising the structure of these stones. So like this terrace in particular is kind of just breaking down because of these vines that are growing all over.
This doesn't, I don't think this was from the recent erosion, but it's just an example of like things are falling apart.
Yeah, it is.
And all of this could easily be washed down.
Mm-hmm. So as we are exploring up here, checking out the terraces, I'm also noticing how many bees we have up here, which makes me so happy. I think it's really interesting because I used to be afraid of bees. And it's such an example to me of how our perception can change things so much. I used to be afraid of bees, and now I'm so excited to see bees. I love bees. I want them on our property. And even though things are a bit crazy and overgrown here, it's so cool to see all of the life that is happening here on these terraces.
Yeah, these are all new.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we're gonna need to move them all.
Okay.
So I imagine it's kind of confusing to judge where we are. So behind the house, we have, 4 or 5 terraces. Yeah. They keep getting steeper and steeper and steeper as you go up. We are at the final terrace now. This is where the forest starts, but it's also where the mountain gets extremely steep. This is where I suspect the rock originated from. But up until this point, you're kind of going step, step, step. Well, then here, it kind of goes just vertical. So, I mean, just immediately after coming up here, I see half a dozen stones that were much larger than that one. Thankfully, they were very flat and not able to continue rolling, because any stone coming from this position would quickly get up to speed. I can't lift this one.
Yeah, that's too big.
Well, thankfully that one is flat.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. This one isn't going anywhere. There's no rush to move this one. So a couple months ago, or actually about a month ago, yeah, we were off hiking and we heard a loud crash coming up from above the mountains, and we, oops.
Oh my, oh careful.
We saw a stone about this size just tumbling down the mountain towards us. And we were keeping our eyes on it. I was seeing it was going on a path that would land maybe 10 feet in front of us. And then all of a sudden it hit a chain link fence. Just a standard fence that you have around your house. So that is the plan. We need to at least temporarily, oh ouch, that hurt.
Oh no.
Temporarily put up a chain link fence, because we need the fastest way possible to block any more stones coming down. So this is where things get really steep. Right about here, it kind of starts to go vertical and goes back about an acre up into that. That is where these stones are coming from. So I do want to get up there and properly assess things.
Mm. Yeah, that's not good. Right.
You're handling this surprisingly well.
Oh, am I? I'm just trying not to imagine.
Children?
Mm-hmm.
So, rather conveniently, there is a large outcrop of rocks positioned at the steepest part of the hill of the property, and it sits directly above the roof of the house. At first glance, most of it seems secure, but there are a couple of rather large boulders that are on the edge that definitely need to be professionally removed. This one can't wait. Yeah, I wish I could show you on camera the steepness of the slope. It's not a sheer drop off, but it's pretty close to it. And again, like everything we're finding, this is directly above the house. This one is just barely hanging on. I'm afraid to move it because it's more than I can handle. But somehow I feel like I should. So eventually, we're gonna get some. We're gonna have to bring in some professionals, strap off these rocks, haul them away with professional equipment. This guy can't wait though. I don't know what to do with this. No, there's nothing you can do to help. It's bigger than I can handle and it's just teetering. So after a lot of thinking, this guy needs to move, obviously, but I just don't want to do it right now. I think first we need to build up some sort of last resort fencing in case something slips out of my hands. And then I will bring up some ropes to try to safely lower this down. Just afraid if I do it now, it'll come free of the ropes and just tumble down straight towards the house. This would punch a hole right through the roof once it picks up speed. Please stay. That down there is the house. I know it's hard to see.
Yikes! That's not going anywhere though, right? That's solid.
For now, at least.
Oh my gosh, it looks like it's like hanging on by a thread though.
It is.
Yikes.
At least it's not over top of the house. It'll crush the car though.
Rather the car than the house. So last week we alluded to a different kind of video, and that is not this video. You'll have to wait a little bit for that. When you have a rock slide, you have to deal with it right away.
So I'm under no delusion that this is a permanent fix. This is very temporary. The long-term solution will be something far more complex and it will take a long time to build. We will need to have a probably a 80-meter long fence that's at least 3-4 meter tall, probably a dual layer, but this will slow down anything that could possibly fall. The rain's back. It comes so fast and comes down so hard. You can actually hear the river off just pick up. It is just roaring. It makes me a little nervous because I planned to take that one boulder down. But I don't want to do it while it's raining with how slippery it'll be.
If you've been following us for a while now, you will know how much we love little passports. Little Passports is a subscription box service that will ship your child a really fun and educational activity every month.
Okay, I can do that.
This month we received the World Edition, and the girls are learning about Greece, and their craft is making laurel wreaths to wear that are kind of like crowns made out of leaves, which they of course love. And it also includes a book to read, stickers, and even a Greek recipe. We really do love Little Passports, and if you would like to try out a subscription for your kids or your grandkids, you can use our coupon code in the description below. It is Raising Voyagers 20, and you will get 20% off site-wide.
All right, well, apologies for the slightly stressful start to this video. It's not at all what we had planned on making this week. The fence I feel good about. Now I'm going to rewire the solar panel. I believe one of the solar panels is completely fine. The other has been permanently destroyed pretty badly. So we will have to figure out a way to replace that, because one solar panel is not enough to keep the batteries charged. And I better get rid of this rock, which is the original rock that started this whole problem. So now that that's finished up, the only thing left is to hike back up, and there's a giant bug on the lens. Is to hike back up and take down that large boulder. So here's the plan. I am going to tie some straps around it, connect a rope to it, and slowly lower it down. I can't really wait to have a professional company come in and remove it, because it is far too unstable. It's the same process that they would use, but they would have better equipment for it. My main concern is the strap coming loose and then losing the rock. I don't have ratchet straps that would be very helpful, but if it does come loose, our trusty little fence that we built will at least slow it down. I'm not going to have much control over its path. Feel pretty good that it's secured. All right, we're almost there. I tied off a manual brake up top so that if it did start rolling, it would very slowly roll. We just have one terrace to get down, one last terrace, and then it'll be at a flat enough spot to store it. Oh man. Sorry, tree. Must have hit the tree pretty hard. So let me show you what we have going on here. I know it's really hard to tell on camera, but obviously the rock came from way up there, and then following that line, look where it's pointed. directly down at the house. That is where all of those large boulders are currently sitting. There's still a couple more that I'm going to remove by myself, and then some that are 10 times the size that I'm simply not capable of removing. This is where long-term we will have a large fence to block off anything that falls. We'll have a fence going all the way down here, running along the length of the property, likely 3 meters high with a concrete base, and then periodically we will tie off additional supports tying into the mountain to be able to catch anything that's super large. I was doing some napkin math on that last night, and it's easily going to cost about 5,000 euros in material alone. So that is definitely frustrating. And I want to be inside the house. I want to be working inside of the house. That was the plan this week. We need to be moving forward. Didn't expect to be taking up all our time doing this, but priorities, I guess. Oh, too fast. So this is how many rocks we still have to remove. About 5 boulders here that are all loose. A giant one that probably weighs as much as a car. And then a whole pile over here of approximately a dozen, maybe 2 dozen loose stones. It's hard to tell because there's vines growing over everything. It wraps around over there. But they're all sitting very loose and sitting directly over top of the house.